What's up, guys? It's Wolfgang back with another Dorkfish review, and we've got a mega review today. We have all 4 of the NECA Fortnite Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Let's not waste any time. Let's get into it. Brought into the game Fortnite as playable characters, the Ninja Turtles entered the fray to take down the Shredder and Super Shredder one more time, but this time in Fortnite video game fashion. There's not a lot of depth and backstory to these, so I don't have a lot to talk about in that regard. This is just about the figures. So, before we get into those, we will start, as always, with the box and then accessories. Here are the boxes, and they are extremely reflective. As you can see, I'm going to do my best to try to get through them. Cool thing to note, each one of them in the background, if you can tell, has a brick pattern that matches their color. So Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo, and Donatello. On the fronts of the packages, you've got the little scan cue, and then you've got their characters. I do wish that they would have came with the heads on the packages. They didn't. It is what it is. So moving along, on the sides, you get a character shot of them from the games. Let me just adjust in here on top of this raggedy house. So there you see their characters from the games, and on the back, product shots of the toys, as well as what's left in the line. Although I have all but the Shredder, so just giving you a heads up, Shredder's the last one according to the line. And I don't think there's any other turtle characters in it, I don't believe, so I'm okay with just having those. On the other side of each one, you get the Fortnite Cross Ninja Turtles in the Eastman letter text. And that's really it. I'm going to pop it open because each one comes with, as I said about the background, their multicolored background. Boom. You can see, which is cool. I use those for the pics for the thumbnails of the video. And then a little Fortnite card. So that is what comes with each box, or in each box. Other than that, there's nothing more to them. So let's get on to accessories. Now, moving into the accessories of each figure, there's not a lot that comes with each one. In fact, it's very, very, very minimal. That is probably the weakest point of these releases. But you do get one head with each turtle. That's the one that's on them. You do get 2 sets of hands. And then you get their primary weapons and really no additional stuff. Except for, of course, the code bar stuff for the Fortnite game, which I showed off during the boxes. So we'll start left to right with Raphael. Now, he comes with his hands that you see already on him, which hold his weapons, as well as 2 fist hands. And they're very well painted. Nice aesthetics. Good sculpting. We'll put those down there. And then there's other accessories which peg into his back. I can show you pegged in actually already. There. This is a peg piece that comes in the package. And then the sides are dead the same. So nothing different on there. They've got the little tassel parts that float down on them. And they're really soft material. And they're ported in. So they hold well. And they look good. Next is Leonardo. And he has 2 additional fist hands as well. And really good job there. I like the way that they did the lines defining the gloves. Good job on that. And then his weapons, which are ported in as well on him, into his 2 katana. And they are a little tight in there, but you can get them out. And they look fantastic. That looks great. I love it. The only difference between the 2, obviously, is this one having the tassels on the top and this one not. But they are exactly the same. Boom. And you can port them into either one. I do like the look of the blue wrap into the gray. Yeah, you can port them into either one, so there's no difference there. Michelangelo, this is the frustrating one. He gets 2 relaxed hands, no fist hands. They look great. Good job on the gloves. And then he gets his nunchucks, but they're a little long. There's no way to hold them in place. They look great, but he doesn't get anything to port anywhere to hold them. So he can't hold his weapons in a holster. Like, they even gave him the port, but there's nothing with him to hold his weapons. So there's nothing to port into his back. So that's really disappointing. Moving on to Donatello, you get his relaxed hands. And it's interesting that they gave these two relaxed hands and these two fist hands. I would have loved to have seen all of them having relaxed, grasping, and fist hands, but they didn't. Now, this part is fixed onto the head. This is not a separate accessory, just so you know. The only other accessory you get is his bow staff and the bow staff holder, which pins in. It's very tight on there, so let me just... And here is his bow staff. And it goes in that thing really snug. Now, it's a pliable rubber, so you don't have to worry about tearing it up, but it goes in there really snug. It holds it. So, good wrap. You get some texture and grain on the staff. A little harder to see. I like the paint choice. To be honest, their accessory spread is very weak. They could have done so much more. I would have loved to have had 2 sets of heads and 3 sets of hands each, or some other kinds of weapons or things that are used in Fortnite. Something to either link them more to the game or give them more for display. Because the faces they use on the box are not what you get on the figures. And there's just a lot more they could have done. So I will say I'm very disappointed from a accessory standpoint. Now, on the other hand, from an aesthetic standpoint, personally, I like them. Now, in general, I think the aesthetics are fantastic. Across the board, there's some pretty cool things. I like the freckling on each one, or the spotting on each one. I think the shading on the shells are fantastic. The bandages, the detail in the sculpts. And that's really, I think, the big thing. The detail in the sculpts and some of the paintwork are immaculate. The belts, having all the buckle parts painted, the lettering on their belts. So they did some really good detail stuff. And then they got lazy in some sections. Getting into individuals. Raphael looks fantastic. I think, aesthetically, he's pretty good. Now, I personally don't particularly care for the do-rag look. I always like the bandana look. I'm pretty sure the first time he wears the do-rag is in the TV show, was it The Next Mutation? Yeah. I think that's the first time they do that look. And they've tried to make it stick ever since, and I've never really cared for it, personally. But one glaring thing you'll notice aesthetically across all of them is they don't put the spots on the necks or shoulders. So they look really bare, and it's kind of weird that they have spots on the face and there, and some of them on the legs, but not on the shoulders or neck. So that kind of bugs me, feels a little bland. But they do the spots all the way around. Look at the sculpt on that. Great work. Even the little things like the nicks in the armor. Fantastic. A good wash over the wraps here. Where they miss on paint is every now and then with some of them they get a little fuzzy, a little odd. And you'll see that, I think, on Donatello or Michelangelo is one of them I'll point out. So, looks great. For Leonardo, and I like that each one's a different color. Each one has their own separate shade of green. Again, great sculpt. Now, the bodies are the same. The shells are the same. It's the gear over the top and the heads. And then the bands. So you see they use the same band, but they change wrist and hands from him to him to him to him. So it's all the same sculpt there. Where they change things up is obviously the feet sculpts. It looks like Leonardo and Donatello share the same foot and ankle sculpt. Raphael has a different one, and Michelangelo's is a bit different. That could just be a covering over it, is what I think. So his is probably honestly the only different one, and Michelangelo's is probably just a covering. We'll look at that closer, but yeah, they did a really, really good job with the sculpt. It's just in areas, some small detail areas, there's some paint bleed or fuzziness. There's Michelangelo, and we're going to check this right quick. And no, I can confirm that is its own sculpt. That is not an overlay that just went over the top. It's its own sculpt. So they gave him separate legs and him separate legs, and the other two are, it looks like they're sharing. But Michelangelo looks good aesthetically, other than the fact he doesn't really have a Mikey face. I like the detailing in the shell. I'm pretty sure it's the same detailing from the movie Turtles. So that may just be a reused shell. Wouldn't shock me. Good shading in the musculature, especially in the legs. Look at that. Really good shading. So I like that there. And Donatello. And yeah, he shares the same ankles as Leo. He looks really good. I love these armor plates on the elbow. Great paint silver. Good choice. And so you see little things. It's so like on here, it's small details across a bunch of them, but little things on the thigh there. Very, very small details. But other than that, like this head sculpt is fantastic. This is probably my favorite head sculpt of them. And honestly, I think of the designs, Donatello might be my favorite. I think it's a really good figure. Leonardo's solid. Raphael is okay. Michelangelo, on the other hand, something's just a touch off. I think it's, again, the head sculpt. If we'd had a head sculpt that kind of represented more of his personality, he would have been fine. But otherwise, from a aesthetic standpoint and a paint standpoint, these are really, really good figures. They did a really good job of bringing the Fortnite to life and giving it a natural feel. It doesn't look too blocky or too odd. Just some minor nitpicks from a aesthetic standpoint. So where the accessories kind of lack, the aesthetics kind of make up. Now, there's one thing to point out in aesthetics that is going to be bugging the crap out of me, and that is from the weapons of Raphael and Leonardo. So you can see Leonardo's. I'll turn Raphael around. So you see these tabs, and you see these here. These don't relax and they don't port out. So you've got that tail sticking up, or these sticking down in their hands in ways that won't be natural in certain shots. So if you're trying to get certain pictures of them, those little things are going to bug the crap out of me. And they may bug you for photography purposes. So just keep in mind that those little things, I don't know why they did them. I'm not a big fan. Well, I know why they did them. I don't know why they didn't do them. We could port a few in and out and kind of change positions. So that may be something some customizers will do. But yeah, there's just a few minor nitpicks like that to think about. Same as on Donatello. You've got the wraps hanging off. And they don't rotate. So you're kind of stuck with them in the positions they're in. And so that could dictate some of your pictures and how natural they may look. So aesthetically, they are fantastic. But now the next question we have to ask ourselves is, even with a good aesthetic, how are they in articulation? And that is the big thing here. There are some changes done to the body by NECA. They added a neck piece and they added drop-down hips. So if you didn't know that was coming, like I didn't actually pay attention, so I didn't know that was going to happen. That was a shock to me, and I like it. We're going to use one because they're all the same body. And you may be concerned with Raphael's shoulder pieces, but they are floating shoulder pieces, and they don't hinder his articulation at all. So we can use one to describe them all, and we're going to pick Mikey. So with the normal head, you can look up that far, look down that far with the neck as well. You get some side to side, turning it, not a problem. Just keep in mind that these are going to aesthetically lay how they lay. With all of them out to that far, around, no problem. Bicep joint, a little tight, but easy enough otherwise. Double jointed elbows. His is sticking a little, just because I hadn't warmed it up. Boom, there we go. I like to live on the edge, so I like to not warm them up when I'm on camera. Now you're going to get the pieces that sit in between are going to flex because they're a thicker rubber, but they are going to hold. So you just have to know that you're going to lose a little bit of articulation because those are in the way. But the regular pin and hinge wrists work just fine. You've got the body cut in two. Now, if you can see it, you've got some space in there, but not a lot. So you can't really go far. A lot of your rotation and a lot of your stuff's going to come from these hips. You can move just fine, but the side-to-side part is only okay. And the shell, by the way, is on its own floating piece, so it can kind of rotate a little bit, and that gives you a little extra wiggle, but not a lot. So it is what it is. This, much like Malthus, is a rubberized bottom that goes up and in. I do like that as you push it back, you can see they did the sculpt and everything up into it. So that way, if you can push it a little more, forward a little more back, you're still not going to lose the sculpt. All right, for the hips. Before using the drop down, you've got this far, and then when you drop them down, you can kick out almost complete splits, not full. With the drop downs, boom, you can kick out about that far. It does turn out a little, is what it is. Now you've got an internal thigh cut or thigh joint that swivels a little bit, not a lot. You've got your knees, double knees, going about that far, not bad. Your ankles go down and back up. And then, of course, you got a nice rocker there. So they're all interesting, and they're kind of interconnected the way they did the drop-down hips. So there's a little bit of movement and connectivity, kind of like they used to have the tube hips, but I like these a lot more than the tube hips. These are really nice. I will say that they tried some new stuff, and it's not perfect, but I like what they're trying. When you look at Malthus and when you look at these, they are trying new things on articulation, which tells me they're expanding. It also makes you believe if these bodies work out here in the near future, that they'll be reissuing figures with more updated articulation. I'm okay with that. The more articulation, the better. Ultimately, these are not perfect in terms of articulation. They're not horrible, but they could be better, and that's the reality. That being said, what is there is decent, and what's new is decent, and we will see if NECA continues to push that boundary and start changing their articulation more. Now, that being said, while they're not perfect, I do like them. I think they're kind of cool, multiversal looking turtles. You can pop them on the shelves with the other turtles and kind of play around with the Turtle Forever idea. They give me vibes of both Next Mutation and the Japanese anime that was done, and maybe even a little bit of Michael Bay's Turtles. I kind of get a feeling of all three of those with these, and the same is going to be true for scale. So let's go ahead and jump into scaling. And first up, we have our Mezco style figures. We have the Mezco Casey Jones. We have my Mezco custom built Shredder Eastman Laird style on the left, and on the right, my custom built Mezco style Super Shredder. And these look great. They scale decently enough. Understand that with scaling, I know Ninja Turtles are typically about 5 foot, 5'2", but with certain versions, Michael Bay's version, the Special Superhero Turtles, which is the Japanese version, even the Next Mutation, I think they were kind of tall. The movies were still like in around 5.5. But with certain interpretations of the Turtles, they have been bigger or exceeding human height. So I do like this scale for these particular ones. I'm big on the original Turtles looking the way they should look, but these are fine. Next, we have them with the 2003 Super 7 series figures. Obviously not all of them because they wouldn't all fit up here, but to give you a representation of scale all the way across, Shredder right there stands at least a head above them. I don't mind that scale at all. That's really good. You've got Leonardo obviously right here next to Leonardo. And if I just kind of buffer him back with Raphael, you can see the difference there. He is, I mean, the top of his head might come to their shoulders. That's about it. And then Splinter. And I do like the Splinter scaling with them. It's pretty good. So not horrible overall on that. Now here we have them with some 2012 Ninja Turtle toys and an Eastman and Laird NECA Splinter. And I imagine that the Shredder you're seeing from 2012 right there is probably going to be close to what the scale of the Shredder is for this line. So we will see. That's not a bad height if that's what they are for what it is. Donatello to the left from 2012, still kind of small, touch taller than the Super 7. but still at least a head, once you unbend those knees a little more, about a head, maybe a head and a half shorter than them. And then Splinter just looks like a child next to them. So the Eastman and Laird Splinter, yeah, not going to go with these at all. And last but not least, for fun, we're going to show off some of our New York style heroes, another Mezco, and another Ninja. So on the far left, we've got our SH Figure Arts Gamerverse Spider-Man. In the center, we've got the Mezco Eastman Laird Leonardo. And on the far right, we've got Ryu Hayabusa from Revoltech. And honestly, I don't necessarily hate how they look with Ryu and Spider-Man in terms of them being like taller versions of Turtles, again, multiversal style stuff. I don't mind it at all. I think they look pretty good, and I think that scale works if you're going for that particular idea or look. All right, and in bringing this review to an end, I have to say, I am somewhat smitten with these figures. I do really like them. I didn't think I would as much when I first saw the promo stuff, but I figured I'd chase them in person. I lucked out going to a few different Targets and picking them up early before they hit the floor, so that way I would have them for this review. So I think they're great. Aesthetically, I think they're super cool. They're going to be fun to put on a shelf. I think you should pick them up if you love collecting turtles or you love the Fortnite game. They're a little expensive for just collecting for kids, so I'm not really certain where the line is. This is really more of a collector's piece. I don't know if you want to spend $40 a figure for these, because tear them up, then they're gone, right? And I suspect that's it. After you get the shredder, they're not going to keep up with anything else, and I don't see the need to reissue these. So ultimately, they're fine figures. If you can find them in person, I suggest getting them. Only if you're a Turtles fan. If not, you can easily miss these and be okay. That being said, I love them. I'm happy they're in my collection, and I'm going to keep collecting Turtles figures and keep bringing you Turtles reviews. So guys, keep watching the channel because there's always more coming. And thank you for watching this one. Comment down below your favorite set of Turtles toys. Any toys from any line throughout the years. Comment and let me know. And thank you for watching. I'm out, guys. Later.